Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. And today's episode is One Piece Arabasta Saga, Little Garden Arc, episode 76, Critical Counterattack, Usopp's Quick Wit, and Kayanaboshi. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happens in this episode. So, where the last episode left off, this one continues from. In the midst of the fights, Usopp just arrived in the clearing. He then uses his exploding star to burn Luffy's shirt, which removes the green color, which allows Luffy once again to enter the fray. However, before he's able to put a stop to the tea set, Mr. 3 comes back in a wax machine suit that he has Miss Golden Week paint, and Luffy admires greatly. And they start their fight while Usopp and Karu are still dealing with Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. Mr. 5 ends up using his exploding breath to push Usopp off of Karu. He ends up on the ground. Miss Valentine then comes and sits on him, using her ability to change her weight to make it so he cannot move. But that's fine because he gives Karu a oil-soaked rope, which Karu is then able to wrap all around the tea set because wax, obviously, when it burns, melts, and because everybody had just hardened within moments before they got there, they then see it as they're probably still alive, therefore they can be, like, the wax can be melted off of them. And the bad guys don't realize this at first, so Karu's just running around and they're kind of letting them, while Miss Valentine's just increasing her weight on Usopp, kind of playing a game because they're secure that they've won. Usopp then, yells at Luffy that they need to set everything on fire. So Luffy grabs Mr. Three's hair, which is on fire, and starts running towards the tea set, and then Usopp's like, don't set the tea set on fire, like it's not strong enough. Set this oil-soaked rope on fire. So that's what Luffy does. And the entire thing goes up in a whirlwind of flame. Miss Valentine gets really upset by this, so she makes herself float up, and then she goes down planning to behead Usopp with her leg by increasing her weight on the way down. Luckily, she is stopped by Vivi and Nami, who have been released. And then Mr. 5 is defeated by Usopp, who tells him he's shooting an exploding star, so he ends up eating it, but it was actually secretly the Tabasco star that he had made way back in episode 46. So he's taken out by spicy food. Zoro comes out with his swords blazing to fully finish the job on those two. Meanwhile, Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week have run into the trees. Luffy follows to find a bunch of Mr. 3 sculptures where he's blending in with the sculptures, planning to sneak attack Luffy. However, Luffy, by instinct or hunch, manages to stomp him the first time he tries, completely invalidating his plan, and then Karu goes after Miss Golden Week, who's trying to sneak away. And that ends all of the battles against Baroque Works. However, Sanji, who went back to the ship, realized no one was there, decided they might need his help, and so he went back into the jungle, happened across the Wax Cube hideout, and had some tea before deciding, you know what, rather than sitting here leisurely having tea, maybe I should go see if they need help. And as he's about to leave, Edenden Mushi goes off, so he answers it, you know, thank you for calling the shitty restaurant. Do you want to make a reservation? And discovers he's speaking to Mr. Zero. So now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, it is now time to rank the episode. First on the mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. And we start with our resolved battles. We had Luffy versus Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week against Karu. Then the rest of the crew versus Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. We had our multi-arc supporting character introduction. This is the first time that we hear Crocodile, and he is silhouetted. Now, normally I don't count silhouettes as character introductions. However, the reason I made an exception this time is that he does have a speaking role, even though he's kept in shadow to be mysterious. He does have a speaking role. We hear him, that he does interact with the other characters. So it's not just like a foreshadowing silhouette, it's an actual, like, he's being a silhouette to be mysterious, but he's got a part to play in the episode. So this is his introduction, Crocodile, Mr. Zero. We then have our multi-arc supporting character growth. Mr. Five has his Breeze Breath Bomb, which is his breath being able to explode by using the firearm we were introduced to in the last episode. Miss Valentine, her Crescendo Stone, which is where she's sitting on Usopp, steadily increasing her weight. And then the 10,000 kilogram Guillotine, which is where she was trying to behead him with her leg and failed thanks to Nami and Vivi coming out of the fire. Then we have Mr. 3 Candle Champion, which is his suit that he made. And then one of the attacks, well, actually the only attack that this giant suit actually successfully does is his Champ Fight Harvest Field, where he basically swings his arms in circles, and because the wax is so hard, it ends up like chewing up the ground, like he's harvesting a field, or tilling a field, really. Um, then we have our multi-arc main character growth. Usopp made the Tabasco Star in episode 45 or 46. But this is the first time he uses the special attack Tabasco Star, so I am counting this as its introduction. Zoro uses Flaming Onigiri, and it's basically his usual attack, but he uses the fire that they started to kind of give it a little bit of extra oomph. And then Luffy, Gummo Gummo Stomp, and this is when he stomps Mr. Three's face while he was trying to blend into his sculptures. Once again, I didn't think that there was anything overly negative in the episode, and so this is definitely a 10 out of 10 episode. When More Than One episode has the same score, it does get ranked in episode order, therefore our mostly objective ranking is in first, The Devil's Candle, Tears of Regret and Tears of Anger, Luffy Attacked by Magic, Color's Trap, Critical Counterattack, Usopp's Quick Wit, and Kayanaboshi, which is this episode, in third. Next, we have Prehistoric Island, The Shadow Lurking in Little Garden, Humongous Battle, The Giants Dory and Brogy, Whales in Victory, oh my gosh, Elbaf's Judgment, and then Luffy. I can't read today. Luffy's Anger, A Dirty Trick in a Sacred Battle. Huh, wasn't that hard? Okay, personal ranking for this episode. As I mentioned in the last episode, it has my favorite moment, like, potentially, not of the entire series, but very much up there, and like probably my top 5 or 10 moments in the series. So this does not unseat it. However, this episode does have the conclusion. We have everybody getting saved. We have a bunch of new attacks. We have the final defeats of everybody. We have the Sanji finding the hideout, speaking to Mr. Zero, which is left kind of on a cliffhanger. We have basically everything getting resolved that we had set up for this arc. So a lot happened. It was very good. The fights were exciting. It was exciting start to finish. The fire was pretty epic. The cleverness of Usopp comes through. Like, this is really, a lot of times Usopp annoys me in these early seasons, or not seasons, arcs, sagas, because, you know, he's cowardly, weak. He does pull through though, and that's part of why he grew on me so much. But this is one of those times where he uses his cleverness several times throughout this episode, so even though he is weaker, he makes up for it with his mind, first by tricking Mr. Five into eating a Tabasco star, then thinking, or that's second, first, you know, pretending he was aiming at one of the enemies, but actually aiming for Luffy's shirt to free him from the influence of the color. The whole trick with the oil-soaked rope and Karu, and the fact that he didn't verbalize it as openly so that he could hide his plan from the enemies so that they couldn't stop him before Karu was able to wrap everything in fire. It had funny moments like Luffy taking Mr. Three's hair to set the rope on fire because, oh, well, I'll just use this fire. And like Mr. Three in his big suit that's supposed to be super strong, getting dragged along by his hair because he didn't put a helmet on the suit. Like, talk about an oversight. But overall, like, I did like everything about this episode. It just didn't have my favorite moment in it, which is why it got into second place. So it is still 10 out of 10 as well. And we have Luffy attacked by magic, Color's trap, followed by this episode, critical counterattack, Usopp's quick wit, and Kainaboshi. Then we had the Devil's Candle, Tears of Regret and Tears of Anger, Brogy, Wails and Victory, Elbaf's Judgment, Humongous Battle, the Giants Dory and Brogy, Prehistoric Island, the Shadow Lurking in Little Garden, and then Luffy's Anger, a Dirty Trick in a Sacred Battle, is in 7th place with 1 episode to go. So that now brings us to our saga ranking so far. Reminder, Reverse Mountain Arc is in first, followed by Whiskey Peak Arc, Kobe and Helmeppo Arc, and then Little Garden Arc on the mostly objective has a score of 53, and on the personal ranking has a score of 51 out of 80. And then we had the series ranking so far. East Blue Saga is in first. Arabasta Saga has 18 out of 70 on our mostly objective side. On the personal side, 12 out of 70. But with that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Piece Arabasta Saga Little Garden Arc, Episode 76, Critical Counterattack, Usopp's Quick Wit, and Kainaboshi. I agree with the Quick Wit completely. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.